Now at 9, we get an early inside look at Joplin's Harry M. Cornell Arts and Entertainment Complex, now that it's complete.
The nation marks Veterans Day with solemn ceremonies here in Washington. I'm Caroline Shively. I'll have that story straight ahead.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Jordan Albee. After a year and a half of construction, people are getting a first-hand look at Joplin's new arts and entertainment venue. KOAM's Yana Atala got an early tour of the Harry M. Cornell Arts and Entertainment Complex, as both officials there about the impact it could have for the 4 states.
After a year and a half of building, the Harry M. Cornell Arts and Entertainment Complex is finished and ready to welcome visitors.
They will see the Beshore Performance Hall, the Leggett and Platt Green, all of Spiva Center for the Arts' new galleries, the beautiful lobby space, welcome desk and gift shop, and they'll just see this beacon of the arts for Joplin.
Emily Frankowski says it took over a decade of passion and work to make it a reality. More than 300 donors contributed to the project. The crew is excited about the holiday season shows in the performance hall on the first floor.
We're looking forward to growing massively. I mean, we used to have 4 to 6 performances each year, and then we're growing that to over 16. So that's a huge jump.
Frankowski says they want to work with schools to allow students to attend previews for shows.
Some of those kids will never have that experience or will never have had it. So to be able to provide it for them free of charge and just have them not have to travel far away to a different state even to experience that is such a blessing.
In addition to local artwork, the Art Center will also display other pieces on the second floor.
We can bring in, national shows. We can look at the quality of the shows with the lighting systems and the humidity control. It allows us to bring really delicate art in that maybe we hadn't had the opportunity to do before in an older historic building.
The third floor includes classrooms.
Community partners and teachers that come in and teach our classes, both to elementary aged kids and all the way up through adults, so anybody can participate.
The green space outside holds about 1,500 people.
We'll be able to bring in outdoor concerts. We'll have outdoor events out there. Our Out on Tap event, which is a very large event with home brewers, will just increase in size.
Having a complex like this in Joplin is beneficial for the area, as complex leaders hope to attract national artists to perform.
Oftentimes they're going from Kansas City maybe to Tulsa, and we're just right on the route. And so any opportunity for them to add more performances to where they're going just secures more income for them and fuels their passion of performing.
Janna Hautala, KOAM News.
Complex opens tomorrow at noon with a ballet performance. The ribbon cutting itself is going to happen at 12:20. You can find a link to the schedule of events on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. Stapleton Elementary in Joplin today hosted a Veterans Day assembly. Students and staff prepared special music and recognitions for local veterans who attended. That included patriotic songs, poems, and handmade cards given to those veterans.
These kids are 3rd grade, so they really don't know what it means to even be in the military. But it's neat. I'm glad the schools are doing stuff like this to help educate them as they come up. And by the time they're a little bit older, 6th grade, they really have an appreciation for what it means to be in the military.
After the assembly, veterans were able to speak with students about their service. People across 4 states and the country, for that matter, are honoring the heroes who served our country this Veterans Day. One of those celebrations involved a Joplin veteran getting the recognition he so much deserves. KOAM's Dow Quick explains.
In the spring of 1966, the United States was at war in Vietnam. It was that April that Army Private First Class Lawrence McCrae was killed by a fragmenting rock. He had graduated from Joplin High School less than a year before.
Many of my family members have served in the armed services and have been to Korea and World War II and Vietnam, and Lawrence is the one in our family that didn't get to come home.
Now, more than 50 years after his death, his name's being added to the Vietnam Memorial at Memorial Hall. The memorial was originally dedicated in May of 1973, but it wasn't until recently that one of McCrae's classmates discovered his name wasn't on the Wall Avenue Memorial.
I came by here one day and couldn't remember some of the people that I'd known that died in Vietnam, so I took pictures of it, and most of the Joplin people I knew, but I counted 15 on this, whereas I went to the wall in Washington, D.C., and there were 16 listed from Joplin.
Ready? Aim! Ready? Aim! Ready? Aim!
After his name was added, a rededication ceremony was in order. So his classmates, the class of 1965, honored McCray and others this Veterans Day.
I didn't know Lawrence, didn't have a class with him, had never met him, just saw him in the hall a few times. But that's okay. He may not be a friend, but he's class of 65.
To see this day come true and know that the service that he made to our country is being honored in such a way means everything to me and my family.
You can view McCray's dedication along with other local veterans at Joplin's Memorial Hall. It's located at 212 West 8th Street. America pays tribute to its veterans today, especially the nation's capital, where they're marking 40 years since the dedication of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial. It's the most visited memorial on the National Mall. Fox News correspondent Caroline Shively reporting now from D.C.
Fred Miller was a medic in the Mekong Delta in 1968. 54 years later, he stands at the Vietnam Veterans Memorial, photographing the names of the men in the 9th Infantry he couldn't save.
A lot of things take me back to those times, and I feel sad that maybe I made it and they didn't. Some people gave their life and I survived. You know, maybe it should have been the other way around.
While Miller served in Vietnam, his parents kept a map marking the spots where they learned from the news his division was fighting. 30-some years later, Miller watched the news to track his own son in Baghdad.
Glad my son, that was a career military officer, made it back from Iraq.
Despite the rain, Miller and hundreds of veterans and their families gathered at the wall on Friday, 40 years after the memorial was dedicated.
For 40 years, this granite wall has never been just about history. The sacrifices of these 58,281 fallen Americans remain with us. They shape who we are today, and they urge us to live up to America's full promise.
Their names now etched along the wall.
Eventually, we're all going to be gone, the Vietnam veterans, but we're going to have a place where people can still come and see and get healing.
Around 11,000 women also served in Vietnam, 90% of them as nurses. 8 of their names are engraved here at the memorial. In Washington, Caroline Shively, Fox News.
KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14 takes this time now to honor another four-state hero. George Vikes served in the U.S. Army Air Corps. Native of Oswego, Kansas, Vikes was stationed in France. We are proud to thank and salute Captain George Vikes. He's tonight's four-state hero. Election officials are urging patience still, with thousands of votes still being counted in states like Arizona and Nevada. Fox News correspondent Madeline Rivera reporting tonight from D.C.
Frustration is mounting with no clear answers as to who will control Congress.
Our nation deserves better when you have the fate of power in Congress hanging in the balance.
Several states have yet to declare the winners in their Senate races. In Nevada, Republican Adam Laxalt maintains a slight lead, but the gap between him and Democratic incumbent Senator Catherine Cortez Masto has diminished.
We're not purposely holding this process back. We're doing everything in our power to move ballots forward just as quickly as we can.
And hundreds of thousands of votes still have to be counted in Arizona, where Democratic incumbent Senator Mark Kelly is holding his advantage over Republican Blake Masters. The state's Republican candidate for governor, Carrie Lake, slammed election officials for the delay. Now she's facing criticism.
It is offensive for Carrie Lake to say that these people behind me are slow rolling this when they're working 14 to 18 hours.
Meanwhile, millions of more dollars and big names are expected to pour into Georgia over the next several weeks. Democratic incumbent Senator Raphael Warnock and Republican Herschel Walker are facing off once again in a runoff December 6th.
I wish it would be, a little clearer that which way the country's going to move, but I guess it's not. So.
Republicans are inching closer to taking the House. If they do, House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy is angling to become Speaker, but some conservatives are vowing to withhold their support. In Washington, Madeline Rivera, Fox News.
Doug is next. We'll complete with the forecast and later in sports. Pitt State tight end Devon Garrison has been a big contributor to the Gorillas' undefeated season.
Well, it definitely turned out to be a cold one outside today. Plus, it was windy, so it made it feel even colder than what it actually was. High temps only right around 40 degrees. We have the clouds that have worked back in. We even have some snow flurries and even some light snow showers out there, especially in our southern counties that we will see for the next couple hours. All right, we did get some good rains last night, about 7/10 of an inch in Joplin for the month. We're at 1.25. We're heading in the right direction, kind of putting some dents into that drought. Look at our temps, lower 30s, low to mid 30s. It's cold. Here's 7th and range line, currently sitting at 34. Northerly winds at about 10. Humidity is at 59%. The winds are going to lighten up a little bit, but they're still kind of a north wind, 5, 10, 15 miles per hour. So it's going to feel pretty chilly. In fact, look at this. Drop all the way down into lower 20s by the time we head into the morning hours. Also, look at this. We have bands of light snow. We got one band rolling right through northeastern parts of Oklahoma into southwestern Missouri. A lot of this northern junk here is just flurries, but where you see these darker blues, we are getting some bands of light snow, especially southern Delaware, Benton County, southern parts of McDonald, into Berry County as we go through the next couple hours. Not a huge deal, but this is going to rotate through and drop dusting to 1/2 inch across south central parts of Missouri. So this system's heading out. Our next one's building in back toward the west. It won't be here until Monday. So for us, by morning, lower 20s, we clear out. The afternoon, right around 40 for an afternoon high. Another cold one tomorrow night, lower 20s, a little bit better by Sunday. By Sunday, we get upper 40s to near 50 degrees. We're going to have partly sunny skies. So the weekend overall looks pretty good. Here's your day planner tomorrow. Good hunting weather to kick that off. 7 a.m., 24, 37 at noon, 38 by 5, high temp, right around 42 degrees. Then we're going to focus our attention on Monday. Here comes our next system. Here's 3 p.m. on Monday. In the green, this is rain. Pink, rain-snow mix. Blue is snow. This should, we're going to be on the northern side, but this should track over us where we're going to start in the 40s, cool into the 30s. So this would be a very wet snow. So this is Monday evening, Monday night, plus if it comes in at this timing, we have the overnight hours, so it's a little bit colder, but we could get bands of light snow, and this could accumulate, especially on the grassy surfaces. Something we'll keep our eyes on over the next couple days. 42 tomorrow, 50 Sunday, 47 dropping Monday, rain possibly over to snow into Tuesday morning, and then again, another chance for a rain-snow mix late next week. It's going to be a chilly week, highs mainly into the 40s. Jordan?
All right, Doug, thanks so much. Coming up, the aftermath in Florida.
Several people killed and dozens of homes destroyed or considered unlivable right now along Florida's coastline, all due to Hurricane Nicole. I'm Phil Keating in Wilbur by the Sea, Florida, with the story and the pictures straight ahead.
Florida's coastal communities struggling to recover after another deadly storm this week. This time Nicole pummeling the coast with heavy rain, devastating storm surge as well. Fox News correspondent Phil Keating has this story.
We are assessing damage. We're cautious about dangerous areas. We're getting back to business.
Cleanup and recovery efforts underway along Florida's east coast after Nicole leaves behind a path of destruction. In the hardest hit areas, Wilbur by the Sea and Daytona Beach shores, nearly 50 homes, dozens of condos, hotels, and even some 10-story buildings have all been labeled unsafe due to beach erosion from a devastating storm surge. People inside forced to evacuate and leave everything behind. Dozens of other homes and businesses also completely destroyed after they collapsed into the ocean.
And the water is coming right up to the windows, and it was like it sounded just like a freight train.
The storm killed at least 5 people after making landfall as a Category 1 hurricane just south of Vero Beach early Thursday. Orange County officials say 2 people were electrocuted by downed power lines, and 2 others were killed in a crash on Florida's Turnpike. A 5th person died while hunkering down inside a yacht in the town of Cocoa.
I feel sorry for the children that play here, and I feel sorry for all the residents that live here.
The focus is now turning towards rebuilding. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has promised the state will help. He was out Friday in Daytona Beach shores to get a first-hand look at the damage. Nicole is now a tropical depression, still pouring rain on parts of Georgia, the Carolinas as it moves north into the northeast U.S. over the weekend. Expect a lot of rain. In Wilbur by the Sea, Florida, Phil Keating, Fox News.
Still ahead, American pride.
American manufacturing is back. I'm Madison Allworth in Farmington, Maine. Coming up, I'll tell you about an American-made and American-built company that is changing the way we look at the supply chain.
This Veterans Day, we're taking a look at an American-made company that's committed to American manufacturing. Fox Business Network's Madison Allworth is in Maine, giving us an inside look at Origin.
Happy Veterans Day. I'm in Origin in Farmington, Maine, an all-American-made business. I'm going to bring in one of the co-founders, Jocko Willink. You guys, in 1 year, have expanded to 2 new states, opened up new factories. What is driving the growth of this business?
The primary thing that's driving the growth of this business is patriotism. Americans want to buy American-made goods. That's the primary driver.
And we connected with you guys last year when the supply chain was a mess. It kind of showed us this dependence on foreign entities to get goods that we need. Now it's looking a little better, but what did we learn from that experience that continues to propel your business forward?
I think the world learned, and especially American learned, that we were exposed that we can't rely on other people's goods to make what we make. So that's what we're doing. We're making it all here.
Amazing. Thank you so much, and thank you for your service. I'm going to bring in your co-founder, Pete Roberts. So you guys are B2C, business to consumer, but you actually call it F2C, factory to consumer. What difference does that make for your consumer and for the American employees that you hire?
I mean, at Origin, we start with people, and the factory to consumer are makers here in the factory, in our factories in New York and North Carolina, making the goods on a 100% American-made supply chain. So I say if you follow the truck after receiving your package back to the source, you're going to end up in a field talking to a farmer.
Amazing. And it is Veterans Day, so I'm going to bring you over this way because I got to show this awesome bike behind you. Tell me about this bike and what kind of special you're doing this Veterans Day weekend.
Well, this bike is the brainchild of a Marine veteran. He spent 4 years engineering and designing it, and we're helping him launch this. Obviously, this first one, and any orders today through our website and this weekend will be entered into a sweepstakes to win this bike. It's just a real incredible piece of American muscle.
Origin makes everything from boots to jeans to supplements, and every piece of their product is made here in the U.S. In Farmington, Maine, I'm Madison Allworth, Fox Business.
More places getting into the holiday spirit. Here's a big hint that'll soon be coming over to Wendy's. More on this next. Wendy's iconic Frosty is getting a new flavor just in time for the holidays. The fast food chain is going to start selling a peppermint Frosty starting Tuesdays for a limited time only, of course. So we don't get used to it, and it's not, something that's special. Wendy's is saying goodbye to the strawberry flavor to add the new holiday-themed Frosty to its menu. I was just talking about this during the commercial. And there's one thing I like, well, a few things I like in life to binge on, obviously. One of those things, Frosties and peppermint ice cream when that comes out, Christmas. It's good stuff. 30 more minutes, news, weather, and sports coming away. Going to hear from a local mother whose baby is recovering after a battle with a rapidly spreading RSV.
Celebrations across Ukraine on Friday as Russia pulls out of a key city in the south. Quick look on Kyiv. That's my story coming up.
RSV season is here and on the rise. KOAM's Carrie Wortham visits one mother and son who spent days in the hospital.
The baby's getting admitted. He's really sick. We don't know what's going to happen right at this moment because he was fighting for his life.
3-month-old Grayson contracted RSV and was admitted to Mercy Hospital where he spent 10 days. According to the CDC, RSV is a common respiratory virus that usually causes mild cold-like symptoms. Most people recover in a week or two, but RSV can be serious, especially for infants and older adults.
It was that bad that they took him straight in, hooked him up on oxygen and everything. And it was really scary. They heard him put IVs in, get fluids going because he's throwing up nonstop.
According to the Missouri Department of Health, each year in the United States, RSV leads on average to approximately 2.1 million outpatient visits and 58,000 hospitalizations.
So it's like, okay, well, if you see their chest and if they're breathing so hard and stuff, please take them to Mercy. Like, take them to the hospital, because I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy.
According to the Oklahoma State Department of Health, people get RSV from an infected person that does not wash their hands or use an alcohol-based hand gel with at least 60% alcohol after coughing or sneezing into them. In Commerce, Carrie Worthen, KOAM News.
Yeah, good for little man. He's on the mend. Hey, if you want to find out more about RSV, you can visit our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. Continuing that on, still early in the flu season, but about half of the U.S. is reporting high or very high respiratory illness activity. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says influenza is contributing, quote, a significant proportion of those illnesses. The number of people sick with the flu nearly doubled in the last week of October, then jumped again in the first week of November. Heads up here, a warning to parents of young children. Nearly 150,000 Mockingbird strollers purchased online or at Target stores in the last couple of years are being recalled. The Consumer Product Safety Commission says the lower end of the frame can crack, causing a child inside the stroller to fall. At least 8 children have been injured. The company is going to provide a fix for free. New car prices begin to fall, but there's always a but here, right? The fine print, but only slightly. Those new prices are falling. According to Edmunds.com, the online car inventory and review company as well, new car prices are now a little closer to manufacturer's suggested retail price. Edmunds says new car prices averaged $700 over the suggested retail price for the first half of the year, but are now down about $230 over. Supply chain problems and, of course, those limited computer chips contributed to the higher car prices. According to Cox, automotive vehicle inventories are at their highest since last June. Dining out may be the cheaper option for your Thanksgiving meal this year. Grocery prices are more than 12% higher than they were just a year ago. Key Thanksgiving staples are much more expensive. Turkey price is expected to be 23% more expensive in the fourth quarter of this year, according to a Wells Fargo report. Prices for other items like eggs, butter also climbed. A Wells Fargo analyst says it may be less costly to just eat out this year. According to Consumer Price Index data, the cost of dining out increased 8.6% in the past year, while the cost of eating a meal at home went up more than 12%. President Biden's student loan forgiveness plan was dealt a blow when a federal judge in Texas blocked it, quote, as unlawful. The Department of Justice says it's going to appeal the decision. The measure was already on hold, for that matter, after the 8th Circuit Court of Appeals issued a temporary stay last month. The White House says more than half of the 26 million applications received so far, anyway, have been approved for relief for up to $20,000. Ukrainian troops are now starting to advance into areas abandoned by the Russian military just hours earlier, in another stunning setback for Moscow. Fox News senior foreign affairs correspondent Craig Pelcott reporting now from Kyiv, Ukraine.
Civilians in Kherson are now emerging to celebrate Russia's withdrawal. The Russians were forced to pull their troops and equipment out of the key southern city on Friday as Ukraine's counteroffensive rolls on. Ukrainian troops now advancing into areas abandoned by Moscow, finding at least one warehouse full of ammunition. Liberating the city itself will take longer because of the lingering threat posed by Russian forces.
We understand that some of the Russians stayed, changed clothes, and did not cross over, and they are now scattered around the city.
But after being occupied by Russia for more than 8 months, it's not clear how many civilians are left in Kherson. Moscow ordered a complete withdrawal as Ukrainian forces got closer. Most of those who left were forced deeper into Russian-controlled territory, many against their will.
They're moving hundreds of thousands of Ukrainians to Russia from those occupied territories. This is what is driving Zelensky. He wants to liberate this.
Once the city is retaken, the Ukrainians are hoping to use it as a springboard to attack Russian positions in the south. Officials here say they're ready to continue the advance, despite the threat of a Russian counteroffensive.
If I was the Ukrainian commander-in-chief at the present moment, I would be very wary of what is going on. This is probably a seminal moment in this campaign.
And we're seeing celebrations here in the capital as well. Ukrainians taking to the streets, hoping that they are seeing a major turning point in this war. In Kyiv, Craig Palcott, Fox News.
A bit later, making a difference.
People all across the nation are honoring the heroes who serve and fight for our country this Veterans Day.
I'm Ashley Strohmeyer. I'll show you how you can turn this holiday into a day of action to help those struggling with mental trauma. Coming up.
Well, it definitely turned out to be a cold one outside today. Plus, it was windy, so it made it feel even colder than what it actually was. High temps only right around 40 degrees. We have the clouds that have worked back in. We even have some snow flurries and even some light snow showers out there, especially in our southern counties that we will see for the next couple hours. All right, we did get some good rains last night, about 7/10 of an inch in Joplin for the month. We're at 1.25. We're heading in the right direction, kind of putting some dents into that drought. Look at our temps, lower 30s, low to mid 30s. It's cold. Here's 7th and range line, currently sitting at 34. Northerly winds at about 10. Humidity is at 59%. The winds are going to lighten up a little bit, but they're still kind of a north wind, 5, 10, 15 miles per hour, so it's going to feel pretty chilly. In fact, look at this. Drop all the way down into lower 20s by the time we head into the morning hours. Also, look at this. We have bands of light snow. We got one band rolling right through northeastern parts of Oklahoma into southwestern Missouri. A lot of this northern junk here is just flurries, but where you see these darker blues, we are getting some bands of light snow, especially southern Delaware, Benton County, southern parts of McDonald, into Berry County as we go through the next couple hours. Not a huge deal, but this is going to rotate through and drop dusting to 1/2 inch across south central parts of Missouri. So this system's heading out. Our next one's building in back toward the west. It won't be here until Monday. So for us, by morning, lower 20s, we clear out. The afternoon, right around 40 for an afternoon high. Another cold one tomorrow night, lower 20s, a little bit better by Sunday. By Sunday, we get upper 40s to near 50 degrees. We're going to have partly sunny skies. So the weekend overall looks pretty good. Here's your day planner tomorrow. Good hunting weather to kick that off. 7 a.m., 24, 37 at noon, 38 by 5, high temp, right around 42 degrees. Then we're going to focus our attention on Monday. Here comes our next system. Here's 3 p.m. on Monday. In the green, this is rain. Pink, rain-snow mix. Blue is snow. We're going to be on the northern side, but this should track over us where we're going to start in the 40s, cool into the 30s. So this would be a very wet snow. So this is Monday evening, Monday night, plus if it comes in at this timing, we have the overnight hours, so it's a little bit colder, but we could get bands of light snow, and this could accumulate, especially on the grassy surfaces. Something we'll keep our eyes on over the next couple days. 42 tomorrow, 50 Sunday, 47 dropping Monday, rain possibly over to snow into Tuesday morning, and then again, another chance for a rain-snow mix late next week. It's going to be a chilly week, highs mainly into the 40s. Jordan?
Thanks again. Coming up in sports, the Missouri Southern Lions looking to finish their regular season with a W tomorrow against Washburn. Plus, a junior tight end making a big impact this fall for the Pitt State Gorillas. Jacob Leonard has that and more next.
The Pittsburgh State Gorillas finish up the regular season tomorrow afternoon, hosting Fort Hays State. Now, with a win in that one, the Gorillas would finish off an undefeated regular season and earn a home game to begin the Division II national playoffs. Now, for Pittsburgh State, junior tight end Devin Garrison really been a playmaker all year long. He got 2 touchdown passes last week against Washburn. Right now, he's actually the Gorillas' leading receiver. Out of that tight end spot, he's racked up 518 yards and 5 touchdowns so far through 10 games.
That position certainly requires versatility, and we have some of that. And boy, when you can get that position involved in the passing game and in the running game, I just think it makes your offense that much better and that much harder to defend at times.
We have so many guys in our receiver room. You can almost count Devin as a receiver, but I mean, he has that, he does all the other stuff a normal tight end does, but when he comes on the field, teams make sure they know that he's on the field. They're always calling him out, 88's on the field, and that brings, focus to him, which we have a lot of guys on the field that can go make plays.
The Missouri Southern Lions are also at home tomorrow afternoon. The Lions finish up their schedule facing the Washburn Ichabods. Southern is 4-6 heading into the weekend. They're trying to avoid ending the regular season on a 5-game losing streak. On the other side, Washburn 6-4 and has the highest scoring offense in the MIAA. Here's Lions head coach Atiba Bradley on what he sees from the Ichabods.
Offensively, they've got some big playability with 2 receivers. I think the one is leading the conference in receptions and yards, and he's also a dynamic returner. And so they've got some big playability. On defense, not the biggest unit we've faced, but a unit that flies around. I mean, this is probably the smallest front, but one of the most athletic fronts. So they're a good football team.
The Kansas City Chiefs are 7-2 in the first 9 games of the season. Last week, kind of had to work for it, beating the Titans 20-17 in overtime. Now this week, the Chiefs stay at home facing the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, like we do every Friday night, right now it's time to hear from the voice of the Chiefs, Mitch Holthus, in this week's Minute with Mitch.
This week, it's the Jacksonville Jaguars in the annual Salute to Service game. Every year, under the direction and creation of Assistant Equipment Manager Cale Kirby, special patches are worn by the coaches and players of the Chiefs. This year, the patch acknowledges the 50th anniversary of Operation Linebacker 1 and 2, the 1972 air mission in North Vietnam that took the life of Captain Robert Thomas, the father of former Chief and Pro Football Hall of Famer Derek Thomas. The patch is full of meaningful details. The flame of the 97th Bombardment Wing, Captain Thomas unit. The camouflage pattern on the patch matches the paint job of Charcoal 1. The B-52G Stratofortress, Captain Thomas co-piloted on his fateful mission. And of course, the number 58. An amazing patch on a special day on this Minute with Mitch. The Minute with Mitch is brought to you by Como Jewelry. Every day's game day, Como Jewelry, Pittsburgh, Joplin.
Now, Sunday's Chiefs-Jags game kicks off at noon on our sister station, KOAM Channel 7. The Chiefs, by the way, are 9.5-point favorites. Now, that's a look at sports. Be sure to switch it over to our sister station, KOAM, for KOAM News at 10. For high school football playoff highlights and scores, it's district championship week in Missouri and state quarterfinal week in Kansas. Plus, got round 1 action in Oklahoma. Now, we're back after this.
Still Veterans Day for a few more hours in a way, but really this next story applies to every day. It's Veterans Day, and for those trying to figure out how to make an impact in the lives of a service member, listen up. Fox News correspondent Ashley Strohmeyer has more.
Many will take a moment Friday to recognize and celebrate the men and women who have served and fought for our country. But this day shouldn't just be a day to pay tribute. Experts say they hope it will be a day of action.
I encourage people on Veterans Day not just to think, but maybe to think about doing. There are ways we can seek training to become better able to support the mental health of the people around us.
Experts say each year, more than 200,000 people transition from active duty to civilian life and become veterans. And while that's a period marked by a sense of pride for many, for some, it can become a time of psychosocial strain that leads to PTSD.
Difficulties finding job or pursuing additional education or difficulties with housing, and those psychosocial stressors might also for some activate PTSD symptoms.
PTSD, or post-traumatic stress disorder, is a mental health condition that can develop after an exposure to a life-threatening or traumatic event. According to the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs, vets and active duty service members are dying by suicide at alarming rates, women dying at twice the rate of the adult population in the U.S. To help combat this, loved ones play a big role.
Family and friends can be a great catalyst to get veterans connected to professional services when needed.
Veteran Day parades are being held throughout the U.S., from our nation's capital to sunny California. Experts say those looking to volunteer can contact their local VA. In New York, Ashley Strohmeyer, Fox News.
All right, going to hear about a new TV series about the legendary journalist Edward R. Murrow. Hollywood Nation, coming your way. I remember seeing this movie when it came out to the theaters. One of George Clooney's films is being turned into a TV series. That's the one I saw in the movie theaters. Christina Aguilera getting ready to share her life story. We got more news for you as well. Fox's Ashley Dvorkin has the latest from the Hollywood Nation.
Wick returns, Aguilera tells her story, and Clooney gets an adaptation in the Hollywood nation.
Okay, fellas, here we go.
George Clooney's 6-time Oscar-nominated film Good Luck and Goodnight is heading to the small screen. AMC Networks is developing a limited series based on the 2005 black and white drama. It centers on real-life veteran journalist Edward R. Murrow's battle against U.S. Senator Joseph McCarthy's anti-communist crusades in the 1950s. Clooney, who co-wrote, directed, and starred in the film, is on board to co-produce the show. Also in the works, a documentary highlighting the career and personal life of Christina Aguilera. According to Deadline, the pop superstar has been working on the film for the past 18 months. It will feature never-before-seen footage and exclusive behind-closed-door moments. The Queen of Burlesque, Dita Von Teese, is also working on her own documentary. It will chronicle her humble beginnings in Michigan to becoming pop culture's most famous striptease artist.
I'm going to need a gun.
And Keanu Reeves is back in action in today's First Looks. Lionsgate released the first trailer to John Wick Chapter 4, featuring Reeves as the popular super assassin facing off with a new enemy played by Bill Skarsgård. The highly anticipated sequel opens in theaters March 24th, 2023.
Last words, Winston? Just have fun out there.
Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
TGIF, all right? That's our time for tonight. Thanks so much for joining us. A big thank you to our veterans. Hope you have a great, safe weekend, each one of you. Do this all again tomorrow. See you then.